She doesn't hold back, and she never pretends. When Taylor decides to speak her mind, she says exactly what everyone else is too afraid to say. And in this moment, her warning to Conrad is more than just words, it's a line drawn in the sand. Section 1. Context. Set up. The story of The Summer I Turned Pretty is built on complicated feelings, broken promises, and the mesensis of young love. At the heart of it all is Belly, a girl caught between two brothers, Conrad and Jeremiah. She has grown up with them, shared summers, secrets, and heartbreaks. But now, everything feels heavier, more serious, because choices matter and people get hurt. Belly's heart is torn, and the tension between the brothers only makes things worse. This is where Taylor comes in. Taylor has always been Belly's best friend, the one who sees through the chaos when Belly can't. She has watched Belly stumble through confusion and heartbreak, and she knows how badly Conrad's silence and hesitation have hurt her. Unlike others, Taylor isn't blinded by Conrad's charm or his quiet mystery. She sees the truth. Belly deserves better than waiting around for someone who can't decide what he wants. The moment Taylor tells Conrad to leave Belly alone, it isn't just a casual warning. It's a direct challenge. Taylor steps up because she refuses to let her best friend keep getting caught in a cycle of hurt. She's tired of seeing Belly second-guess herself, wondering if Conrad cares enough to fight for her, or if he's just going to keep pulling away when things get complicated. For Conrad, this moment is difficult because Taylor's words cut deep. He knows she's right, at least in some ways. He has been distant, lost in his own pain, and unable to give Belly the security she needs. But hearing it out loud from someone as blunt and honest as Taylor forces him to face the weight of his actions. It's not just Belly who notices his silence anymore. Everyone can see it. This confrontation is powerful because it adds a new voice to the love triangle. It's no longer just Belly deciding between Conrad and Jeremiah. Taylor represents the protective friend, the voice of reason, the person willing to say what Belly can't bring herself to admit, that maybe Conrad doesn't deserve her right now. And that truth changes everything. Taylor's protective energy is sharp, almost like a shield. She's not trying to ruin things. She's trying to protect her best friend's heart from more damage. And in stories like this, sometimes the bravest act of love doesn't come from the people in the relationship. It comes from the friend who refuses to stay silent. That is why this moment matters so much. It's not only about Conrad and Belly, it's about loyalty, honesty, and the kind of friendship that refuses to let someone walk into heartbreak without a fight. Taylor draws the line because she loves Belly enough to be the bad guy in Conrad's story. And that's what makes this scene unforgettable. Section 2. Taylor's protective side. Taylor has always been the kind of friend who steps in when Belly can't find her own voice. From the very beginning, her loyalty has been obvious. She might tease, she might push, but when it comes to Belly's happiness, she doesn't joke around. Taylor notices the smallest changes, the way Belly looks away when Conrad walks into the room, the way her smile fades when he avoids saying what he really feels. These are the signs Taylor reads like an open book, and they tell her that Belly is hurting, even if Belly tries to hide it. Unlike Belly, Taylor doesn't see Conrad through the same lens of longing and history. She sees him for what he's been in the present, someone who keeps breaking her best friend's heart. Without even realizing it, she remembers the nights Belly cried, the times she doubted herself, the moments she wondered if she wasn't enough. To Taylor, this isn't about a love story. It's about protecting someone she loves like family from getting trapped in pain again and again. Taylor's protective side is also rooted in her own personality. She's direct, bold, and unwilling to let silence speak louder than words. Where Belly might hesitate, Taylor pushes forward. Where Conrad pulls back, Taylor calls him out. She doesn't sugarcoat because she believes Belly deserves the truth, even if it's uncomfortable. That's why she can look Conrad straight in the eye and tell him to leave Belly alone. It's not cruelty, it's honesty. And it comes from a place of care. What makes this moment even stronger is the contrast between Taylor and everyone else around Belly. Jeremiah tries to win her heart. Conrad drifts in and out of her life. And Belly herself is often caught in between, unsure of which direction to take. But Taylor is steady. She knows exactly what she wants for Belly: peace, clarity, and happiness. And she's willing to risk Conrad's anger to get it in many ways. Taylor's protective side shows us a different kind of love story. It's not romantic, but it's just as powerful. It's the story of a friendship where one person refuses to stand by and watch the other settle for less than she deserves. Taylor believes Belly is worth more than half-hearted promises and confusing signals. And that belief fuels every word she speaks to Conrad. This side of Taylor also challenges the way we see her as a character. She's often painted as bold, dramatic, even a little reckless. But here, her boldness becomes a weapon in defense of someone she loves. She transforms from playful best friend to fierce protector, reminding us that real loyalty isn't always quiet or gentle. Sometimes it's sharp, loud, and impossible to ignore. By standing up to Conrad, Taylor sends a clear message not just to him, but to Belly as well. She's saying you deserve more. You deserve someone who is sure about you. Someone who doesn't make you question your worth. It's a reminder that love shouldn't be painful confusion, and that sometimes the people who love us most are the ones who refuse to let us settle for less. Taylor's protective side is the spark that lights this scene. It creates the tension, the honesty, and the raw emotion that makes the confrontation unforgettable. And it leaves us with one question. Will Conrad hear her words as a threat or as the wake-up call he's been avoiding all along? Section 3. The confrontation. The air feels heavy when Taylor steps up to Conrad. There's no laughter in her tone, no room for small talk. This isn't a friendly chat. It's a collision that's been building for a long time. Conrad is used to people tiptoeing around him, treating his silence like a mystery, giving him space to figure things out. But Taylor is different. She doesn't wait for him to explain himself, because she's already seen enough. Her words cut straight to the heart of it. Belly is hurting. Conrad is the reason why. Taylor doesn't accuse him with raised voices or wild gestures. Instead, her directness carries more weight than shouting ever could. It's the kind of truth that forces Conrad to listen, even if he doesn't want to. She tells him clearly, if he isn't ready to step up. If he can't give Belly what she deserves, then he needs to leave her alone. This is more than just a protective friend stepping in. It's a moment that flips the balance of power. For once, Conrad isn't the quiet, unreachable figure who keeps everyone guessing. He's the one being confronted, the one being forced to look at the consequences of his actions. Taylor's eyes don't waver, and her voice doesn't shake. She knows exactly what she's saying, and she knows exactly why. Conrad, on the other hand, has no defense. He feels the sting of her words because deep down, he knows she's right. He has loved Belly in his own way, but love without clarity has left her torn apart. His hesitation has been its own kind of cruelty, even if he never meant it to be. Taylor doesn't give him an easy way out. She doesn't soften her warning or leave space for excuses. She holds him accountable, and in that moment, Conrad has no choice but to face his own failures. The beauty of this confrontation lies in its honesty. It's raw, uncomfortable, and absolutely necessary. Taylor says the things Belly can't bring herself to say. She gives voice to Belly's unspoken pain. She demands an answer not for herself, but for her best friend who has suffered in silence for too long. This scene also shifts how the audience sees Conrad. For all his charm, for all his quiet longing, we're reminded that love isn't just about feelings, it's about action. Taylor's words force him, and us, to question whether his love for Belly is strong enough to survive his fear of being vulnerable. And if it isn't, then maybe he has no right to hold on to her at all. The confrontation ends not with a dramatic explosion, but with a heavy silence. That silence is proof that Taylor has struck a nerve. Conrad doesn't fight back because he can't, and that silence says more than any argument ever could. It leaves us with the sense that this was a turning point, not just for Belly and Conrad, but for everyone caught in the storm of this love triangle. Taylor's confrontation is not just a moment of anger, it's a moment of clarity. It reminds us that sometimes the harshest truths come from the people who love us enough to speak them aloud. And for Conrad, those words may haunt him long after Taylor walks away. Section 4. Belly in the middle. Belly has always been at the center of this tangled story. But moments like this remind us just how heavy that position really is. On one side, there's Conrad, her first love, the boy who has been in her heart for as long as she can remember. On the other, there's Jeremiah, warm, steady, and ready to love her without hesitation. And in between them stands Belly, pulled in both directions, trying to figure out not just what she wants, but what she deserves. Taylor's confrontation with Conrad doesn't happen in a vacuum. Belly feels it too, even if she isn't standing right there when the words are spoken. She senses the shift in the air, the tension that follows, and the weight of the truth her best friend has just thrown into the open. For Belly, it's a reminder that her choices don't only affect her, they ripple outward, touching everyone around her. What makes this moment so heartbreaking is that Belly never asked for this war. Between love and loyalty, she didn't ask Conrad to be uncertain, and she didn't ask Jeremiah to step in as the one who's always ready. She didn't ask Taylor to speak for her either. And yet here she is, caught in the middle of emotions too big to control, watching the people she cares about fight battles on her behalf. At times, Belly blames herself. She wonders if she's the reason for the pain around her, if her heart is too messy, if her feelings are too complicated. But the truth is, Belly's struggle is deeply human. She is young, she is learning, and she is discovering how difficult love can be when it doesn't fit neatly into one box. Taylor's warning may protect her, but it also highlights just how much is at stake. Because if Conrad listens and walks away, Belly loses something she has held onto for years. Yet if he doesn't, the cycle continues. Hope, heartbreak, silence, repeat. This is the reality Belly is trapped in, and it's why Taylor feels the need to step in at all. From Taylor's point of view, Belly is too deep in her feelings to see the damage clearly. But for Belly, the choice is never that simple. Love has tied her heart into knots, and every option feels like it comes with a price. Being in the middle also changes the way Belly sees herself. She's no longer just the girl waiting for Conrad to finally choose her. She's the girl others are fighting for, the girl whose happiness matters enough for her best friend to take risks. That kind of attention is both empowering and overwhelming. It reminds her that she's valued, but it also leaves her feeling weighed down by the pressure of making the right choice. The brilliance of this scene lies in the quiet pain Belly carries in these moments. She doesn't yell, she doesn't argue, she feels. And those feelings are messy, raw, and real. For the audience, Belly in the middle is not just about choosing between two brothers. It's about the universal struggle of finding your place when love and loyalty collide. Taylor's words too. Conrad may have been sharp and clear, but for Belly, nothing is ever that simple. She is still standing in the center, caught between her history with Conrad, her bond with Jeremiah, and the fierce protection of her best friend. And that position, the girl in the middle, is what makes her journey so powerful, so painfully relatable. Section 5. Conrad's struggle. Conrad has always been the hardest to read. On the outside, he's calm, collected, almost untouchable. But inside, his emotions are messy, complicated, and often overwhelming. He loves Belly, that much has always been true. But loving her has never been simple for him. It's a love tied to fear, to loss, to the weight of everything else happening in his life. And that weight is exactly what makes Taylor's words hit him so hard. When Taylor tells him to leave Belly alone, it feels less like an attack and more like the truth he's been trying to avoid. Deep down, Conrad knows he hasn't been fair to Belly. His silence, his hesitation, his inability to choose these things have left her waiting, hoping, and hurting. He doesn't mean to cause pain, but intention doesn't erase the damage. And in this moment, Conrad is forced to face the fact that maybe he isn't the person Belly needs right now. His struggle is not just about Belly, it's about himself. Conrad has always carried the burden of being the strong one, the quiet one, the one who keeps everything inside. But that habit has cost him dearly. Instead of sharing his feelings, he hides them. Instead of fighting for what he wants, he hesitates. And while that might protect him from rejection or heartbreak, it also keeps him from truly being with the person he loves most. Taylor's warning makes the struggle even sharper. For the first time, someone has put into words the fear Conrad has never admitted aloud, that his love for Belly is not enough. That love, without action, is just a shadow. And Belly deserves more than shadows. She deserves someone who can stand in the light with her, fully and without hesitation. This realization tears at him. Because for all his mistakes, Conrad's love is real. He feels it in the way he looks at Belly, in the way he can't let her go, in the way every memory of her lingers long after she leaves the room. But real love isn't always enough when fear takes control. And Conrad's fear of losing her, of not being enough, making the wrong choice, has been stronger than his ability to act. What makes his struggle so powerful is the silence that surrounds it. He doesn't argue back when Taylor confronts him. He doesn't deny what she says. Instead, he carries it quietly, like another weight on his already heavy shoulders. That silence tells us everything. It tells us he knows she's right. It tells us he hates that she's right. And it tells us he doesn't yet know how to change. For the audience, Conrad's struggle is both frustrating and heartbreaking. We want him to speak, to fight, to finally give Belly the certainty she deserves. But watching him hesitate also feels painfully real, because love in real life isn't always bold or clear. Sometimes it's messy, slow, and filled with mistakes. Conrad embodies that reality. The boy who loves deeply, but struggles to show it in the way that matters most. Taylor's confrontation forces Conrad to face a question he can't avoid forever. Is he willing to fight for Belly, or will he let her slip away? It's a question that defines his struggle, and one that will shape the rest of his journey. Because if he doesn't make a choice soon, someone else, Jeremiah, or even Belly herself, will make it for him. And that's a truth he can't ignore any longer. Writing section 6, Taylor's tough love. Taylor doesn't sugarcoat. She never has, and she never will. That's what makes her voice so sharp in this moment. To some, her words might sound harsh, almost unfair, telling Conrad to back off, to leave Belly alone if he can't give her the love she deserves. But beneath that bluntness is something deeper, a kind of tough love that only someone who truly cares could deliver. Taylor knows Belly better than anyone else. She knows her hopes, her insecurities, the way her heart has always leaned toward Conrad, even when it hurt. And watching that hurt repeat itself has worn Taylor down. She can't stand by and watch Belly question her own worth because of someone else's hesitation. For Taylor, protecting her friend means telling the hard truths, even if they sting. This is what tough love looks like. It's messy, it's uncomfortable, but it's honest. Taylor isn't trying to be the villain in Conrad's story. She isn't trying to take away Belly's choice. She's stepping into the space where Belly is too vulnerable to defend herself. She's saying the words Belly can't say out loud. You're breaking me. And if you can't love me fully, let me go. The power of Taylor's tough love is that it doesn't come from anger alone. It comes from loyalty. She would rather risk Conrad hating her than risk Belly spending another summer in confusion and heartbreak. That kind of courage isn't easy. Most people avoid confrontation, but Taylor runs toward it because she believes Belly is worth the fight. For Conrad, this moment feels like a slap in the face, but it's also a wake-up call. Taylor is holding up a mirror, showing him the truth he's been too afraid to acknowledge. And sometimes it takes someone outside of the relationship to cut through the haze and say what needs to be said. Taylor doesn't give him comfort. She gives him clarity. Her tough love also shifts the way we see her as a character. Often, Taylor has been seen as dramatic, bold, maybe even a little selfish. But here her boldness transforms into bravery. She chooses honesty over peace, loyalty over silence. And in doing so, she proves that being a true friend doesn't always mean standing quietly by someone's side. It sometimes means standing in front of them, protecting them from what they can't yet protect themselves from. The beauty of this tough love is that it comes with no hidden agenda. Taylor isn't trying to control Belly's choices or rewrite her love story. She simply wants her best friend to see her own worth, to stop chasing after someone who only gives half of his heart. And if Conrad can't be that person, then Taylor would rather see him step away than see Belly suffer again. That's what makes this scene so unforgettable. Taylor's words may seem sharp, but they're rooted in the deepest kind of love, the kind that demands better. It's a kind that refuses to settle, the kind that doesn't care if it makes her unpopular. Because in the end, Taylor isn't speaking for herself. She's speaking for Belly, and she's speaking with love that's fierce, unshakable, and impossible to ignore.